I'm Elisa, and I'm 35 years old. I got divorced once, but now I'm married again. While working full-time, I'm also raising 2 children I had after my second marriage. Today is my eldest son's entrance ceremony for school. He was admitted to an elementary school affiliated with the university where my spouse and I graduated from, through a competitive entrance examination process. Both of us took a day off to enjoy our child's big moment and headed towards the school gates. Arriving early at the school gate, we saw a line for a family photo session, filled with smiles, next to the entrance ceremony sign. Should we take one together when Dad arrives? We discussed, waiting to the side for my husband, who was slightly delayed. Then, suddenly, I heard a voice from the past I never wanted to hear again. Could it be Elisa? An indescribable rustle ran through my body. When I glanced in the direction of the voice calling me again, as I suspected, I saw a familiar figure. It was my ex-husband. Next to him stood a boy wearing the same uniform as my son. Could it be the same elementary school? I thought they might be classmates, as his birthday is around May and ours is in March, almost a year apart. While shaken by this unexpected situation, I knew I couldn't ruin the atmosphere of this special day. Long time no see. After exchanging greetings I'd rather not have made. The person who spoke took a step closer with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He probably sensed something was off with me, different from usual. My son by my side tightly grasped my hand. Feeling his small warmth, the rustle inside me gradually subsided, and I felt calmer. Still, with nothing much to say, I was eager to leave this place as soon as possible. Yet, thinking it rude to just walk away without a word, I softly said, "Well then," about to leave, when he said, "Why are you trying to run away after we've finally met after so long?" Unfortunately, it seemed he had no intention of letting this go easily. In the corner of my diverted gaze, my ex-husband looked to be enjoying himself, with the boy beside him watching curiously. Then, from a distance, I heard the sound of heels clicking together. "Oh, wait, your ex-wife, what's this? A kid? You have a kid? Meeting here like this is just too funny, haga." From behind my ex-husband, the last woman I wanted to see appeared. The woman from next door who used to dominate with her overwhelming youthfulness still seemed to crave attention. She was wearing a tight mini dress and bright red high heels that you wouldn't expect at a prestigious school's entrance ceremony. Honestly, I can't help but wonder how she passed the school's test to become a mother here. Despite knowing it's wrong to be prejudiced, remembering how she treated me back then makes it hard not to think that way. As I was thinking this, my ex-husband maliciously struck up a conversation. "Seriously, you have a kid at an elementary school entrance ceremony? Don't tell me. This kid, is he yours?" "Yes, but what about it? Does this mean you've remarried?" "Yay." Let me guess, after I dumped you and you hit rock bottom, you got snagged by some divorced guy and already lived in loser. Remarried with his kids in tow, haha. And he chose you, a barren defect, well. Stunned by the unbelievable insult, I then heard a raucous laugh coming from beside him. After a good laugh, wheezing, they both started spouting vulgar conversations. "What's that? Well, Mark, that's harsh. Talking about already lived in and calling her a barren defect. Haga, that's lawsuit level." "Well, why the hell would I get sued? I mean, anyone considering marrying her would be like that." Thought I snagged a beautiful, highly educated woman. But man, was I wrong about her. Seriously not fun. So damn serious, didn't know how to have fun. Whether it was because she wasn't popular or what, she's just a stiff who doesn't know how to play. Got bored in half a year. Well, even if that's true, that's terrible, haha, especially in front of the kids, man. But it's her fault for not satisfying me that led her to a miserable life, right? She brought it upon herself. That's awful, Haga. Maybe things would have been different if we had kids, but seriously, no matter what, we couldn't have any. She was just defective as a woman. Haga, stop it, I can't stop laughing. Well, because you turned out this way, I was able to meet her, and John was born, so, in a way, should I be thankful? Ew, no way, thanking my ex-wife, that's not happening. Joking, as if I'd be thankful to her, and as if she could ever be happy. And this kid must be some divorced man's child, not even looking like you. You always were a hopeless case of infertility. Does infertility mean you're frigid? Is that related? Seems like it. I was married to a frigid infertile woman. The worst. Mark, you're the worst, Haga. Well, but now I have you, who's super responsive, right? You, stop it. Seriously though, a barren woman remarrying a guy with kids is just hilarious. That guy, I genuinely feel sorry for him, Haga. Listening silently, it's endless conversations like these that make you want to cover your ears from the fools. On such a celebratory day, in front of the school gates, that adults of their age could speak so vulgarly in public so loudly. The disapproving looks from around seem to be completely invisible to them. Moreover, if they can talk this much nonsense, that's surely enough. Just as I'm thinking it's about time to say goodbye to these people, my husband Jack, who approached briskly, called out, "Sorry to keep you waiting." I deliberately raised my voice a bit to address the ex-couple, who were still engrossed in their crude and unproductive conversation. "Hey, can I have a moment?" "What?" "There's a chance we might meet again in the future, so I'd like to introduce you to my husband." As I spoke, their eyes shifted to my side, where my tall husband stood beside me, casting a shadow over my ex. In an instant, my ex's eyes widened, and his expression stiffened. Unaware of this, the woman beside him gasped for a different reason. "Wait, this is your husband, he's super handsome, amazing." Ignoring their reactions, my husband glanced at the cute kid in uniform between them before politely greeting them. "Good morning, I'm Jack. Congratulations to us all on our children's entrance. If you need anything in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out." He then put down our younger daughter and bowed slowly. Prompted by his movement, the two in front of us also bowed awkwardly. The daughter, now on the ground, happily hugged her brother standing close by. The son smiled joyfully and, with a hand not holding mine, gently grasped his sister's small hand. "And who is this child?" "She's our younger daughter, starting preschool this spring." "You have 2 children?" "Yes, both are genuinely my own, a close and incredibly adorable pair of siblings." Looking to my side, I see Jack watching me with kind eyes. "Shall we take a photo and then head inside?" "Yes, let's. Excuse us then." We gave a light bow to the still dazed ex-couple and headed towards the school gates as a family of 4. Nearby, I greeted a mom friend who kindly took a commemorative photo of our family. Before entering the gate, I glanced back at the spot we just left. The sight of my ex-husband, still frozen and tense, with a woman causing a scene and a child beside him, caught my eye. After the ceremony ended without a hitch, we slowly made our way to the parking lot. As always, the 2 children were holding hands, walking and chatting with bright smiles. My daughter seems to be fascinated by the backpack her brother Matt is carrying, as she keeps gazing at it intently. When I can't help but smile at this scene, what's with the smirk? It's not a smirk, I'm just thinking how adorable they are, I say, trying to get my husband to notice our 2 kids. "Should we grab lunch before heading back? It might be a bit early for lunch, huh?" As we were engaging in this chat, we reached the car. Upon placing the kids in the back seat and reaching for the passenger door, I hear hurried footsteps approaching. Turning around, I hear, "A Portia, really? Have you lost your mind?" Without needing to see him to know it's my ex-husband. He seems to have been following us for a while, slightly catching his breath. Wait up, a woman and her son, chasing after him, catch up to us, filling the air with an indescribable tension. Inside, I was laughing. I knew there was no way the man before me would be satisfied with such half-baked information. Seeing his ex, whom he thought was beneath him, living happily in an unexpected situation was something he couldn't stand. So, I had deliberately provoked him, in various ways. Of course, I had no intention of starting any conversation in front of the main gate on a sunny day. By letting him hear just enough incomplete information, I knew he would follow up later. It was all going exactly as I had planned, and I could barely contain my laughter. What, we have nothing left to talk about, do we? What, I have more than enough on my plate. If I push him away on purpose, just as I expected, he bites back. Too easy. I signaled to Jack with my eyes, and he opens the back seat. After addressing the ex-husband's child and briefly refusing the confused woman, he lifts the child and seats him in the back seat with our kids. Be nice, you're friends, he tells the children, handing them drinks and books I brought, and pats their heads. After offering them a bright smile, reassuring them everything is okay, he quietly closes the door. My ex-husband, who had been watching the whole time, spits out his words with a face like he's chewing on bitter bugs. Showing off, huh? Is this supposed to be a dig at us? What are you talking about? The kids, 2 of them, happy family vibe. Is this supposed to be a dig at us? As usual, the man in front of me is emotional, which only cools my head further. His feelings are passionate and intense, yet they can flip to nothing incredibly quickly. I remember the days when I was constantly tossed around by his all-or-nothing emotions. Why don't you calm down a bit? A dig at you? What are you talking about? What? All we did was go about our day as usual. There was no intent to provoke, I mean. We haven't even been in touch. I had no idea what you've been up to, let alone that our kids would end up in the same school. How could this be a dig at you? If anything, I'm the one feeling pretty upset here. The man in front of me falls silent. There seems to be a hint of guilt about what he had done. I guess I'll have to get to the point then. So, what do you want to know? You weren't infertile. Huh? You were going to fertility treatments, right, at that clinic known for infertility. You were going there because you were infertile, weren't you? So, that's why you keep harping on about infertility. Yes, that's why. By saying that, you're accepting that I gave birth to our kids. They look like you, after all. Just a while ago, this man was loudly proclaiming in front of the school gate that they didn't look alike, and now what is he saying? Of course, everyone says so, especially that our older son looks just like me. Indeed. Right, it's obvious, they are genuinely mine and Jack's kids. So, the fertility treatments. I never went to fertility treatments. I just had a fertility check-up, never underwent any treatments. Really, for real? Truly? Why would you do that? What, because you kept nagging about not being able to have kids? Huh? I'll skip the details because it's too much hassle. But after consulting and undergoing tests, it turned out I'm not infertile and perfectly capable of getting pregnant. Oh, why didn't you say anything? I never knew about that. Well, you were too busy playing around every night to ask, weren't you? That is, the ex-husband mumbles uncomfortably, catching his gaze briefly falling on Jack's smiling face, which awkwardly shifts away. Jack returns with a bright smile. It's been a while since that time, hasn't it? Giving a meaningful response. Why with Elisa? Huh? Why did you and Elisa get to know each other? Laughs. Earlier, you looked so shaken up, like my former coworker couldn't believe I was the husband of his ex-wife, right? Once again, the ex-husband couldn't hide his turmoil. while the woman beside him listened to our conversation with a blank expression. Would it have been inconvenient if a former coworker was now the husband? What? No, that's not it. Ahaga, you're still so bad at lying, aren't you? LOL. What? Well, that works out for me too. Besides, Jack and I have known each other way before I ever met you. Lisa and I, we're childhood friends. Childhood friends, but you guys are quite different in age, right? Well, I'm the same age as you. Originally, our mothers were childhood friends, and both families have always lived in the same hometown. Huh. You know Lisa's hometown, right? When mothers are close, their kids end up playing together naturally. I mean, I've known Elisa since she was born. Since then, I've been like a big brother to her for years. Of course, after I started working, we didn't see each other much. I didn't know that. I also never imagined Elisa's husband would be you, Mark. I was surprised when I saw you near our parents' home. Wait, you saw me? It's not strange to have been seen. It seems Jack also came back home sometimes. But back then, I had no idea that Jack and my ex-husband were former co-workers. Well, you wouldn't have wanted to be seen, right? Oh. What, didn't you think? Wondering if I'd start talking about something strange, right? After we got married. You kept going out under the guise of overtime and business trips, right? Not to mention the mixers and parties. And you really got around with the girls from the station company too. Hey Jack, stop it. My ex-husband's unease becomes increasingly evident. Why panic now over something from years ago? I wonder who he's trying to fool. Contrary to such a cold-hearted perspective, inside, I've been continuously laughing. So, wanting to laugh even more, I deliberately provoked my ex-husband. What's this? Did you get scared seeing Jack's face earlier, thinking all your secrets would come out? That's, well, so it's true, got that much to hide, something really bad. Huh. Well, what could it be, this really bad thing? Beside my flustered ex-husband, even his wife started exclaiming, that's seriously bad. Huh, after exposing such a messed up side of yourself all this time, now you're worried, I thought to myself. Not a hint of a smile in my eyes, but I plastered a grin on my face and breezily said, it's okay, no need to panic now, I knew everything already. I was aware of your penchant for playing around, and all of your affairs. Why? He probably never imagined that everything was exposed at that time, not even in the slightest. The expression on my ex-husband's face was genuinely flabbergasted. It was so ludicrous that even the laughter inside me ceased. At the same time, I deeply resented being so underestimated. He won't notice whatever I do, although I realized it back then, that must have been his fault. But the real me was different. It's not that easy. Suppressing the urge to burst out, I began to engage with my ex-husband for humor's sake. I have a co-worker who loves mixers and parties, right? She used to hang out a lot in places like West Hollywood and Las Vegas. Probably still does from time to time. And she's really good at socializing in those kinds of places, has a great memory. She saw your face in a wedding photo I showed her by chance and started panicking. Is this your husband? Hey, your husband is seriously bad news. She went on to tell me all about your secret side in detail. Huh, my secret side. Huh, you weren't aware. The face you showed me and your real face, they are different, aren't they? I told him I knew that much without having to ask anyone, and he looked at me, wide-eyed and surprised. Being unaware of such traits. Only the people around him would get hurt. Recalling those times that left me deeply wounded, I suddenly bit my lower lip hard. She's really amazing. Sending me videos and photos of you flirting with other girls, saying they could serve as evidence if needed. This will be useful for you. She was really worried about me. Shocking to find out he'd been playing around just like his bachelor days. Right from the start of our marriage, she was a super strong backup, lol. When I mentioned, among those parties, your wife was there too, right? My ex-husband fell silent. I'll say it again, silence is consent. Well, consent or not, I still have all the evidence. In fact, it's all in my phone right now, inside my bag. Should I show you? I can show you the evidence right now, you know. At my offer, my ex-husband shakes his head vigorously, as if his life depended on it. Laughing heartily at his desperate refusal, I continued, ignoring his glaring gaze. It was right after I heard about that, I think. We hadn't even been married for a year when I got a message from Jack out of the blue. Let's have a wedding celebration, he said, and we went out for a meal, and that's when I heard all about what you'd been up to at your company. So, you mean? I knew about my ex-husband's infidelity far earlier than he would have thought. The realization dawning on his face was pitiful to see. Seriously, why? Why did I tell Elisa about it? Well, it makes sense. The wife of a coworker who continued to play around after getting married was a dear childhood friend of mine. Who would I choose? Obviously, I'd choose my childhood friend. So, I told her everything I knew. Even if it hurt Elisa, it was still early in the marriage. Better she knows sooner rather than later. Everything means everything. You were quite involved with girls from work, causing a lot of trouble with women, losing trust from your bosses. Oh yay, wasn't there a big fuss about a girl from work getting pregnant and you being asked to take responsibility? That's why you left the company, right? LOL. That's right. Our marriage was short-lived, only a year and a half, but during that time, he abruptly quit his job. He claimed it was for career advancement. But in reality, he struggled to find a new job and seemed to spend his days going for interviews or just playing around. Did you know about that too? Of course, I knew. What, you didn't say anything back then? What's the point of saying it? Would you have stopped if I had told you? Well, that's... Anyway, by that time, I had already reached a point where I couldn't accept everything about you anymore. You were hardly ever at home, and we barely spoke, so it wasn't really about saying it or not, right? True, I wasn't there much. So, in the end, didn't it work out for you, with all the noise about the affair partner being pregnant? Seems like a win for you, right? What, that's because you never got pregnant, but wait, why are you pregnant now? What is he even talking about? I clearly stated earlier, I was capable of getting pregnant. If that's the case, there should be one obvious major reason that comes to mind. I struggled to keep my temper in check in the face of such arrogance. Well, yeah, it turned out there was a missing element for pregnancy, wasn't there? What, a missing element for pregnancy? Pregnancy requires a man and a woman to happen, right? Of course, it happens when a man and a woman do their thing. So, how come I was able to get pregnant normally after marrying Jack, but couldn't with you? What does that tell you? I wonder if you'll catch on. Or perhaps he won't. As expected, he started lashing out with, "How would I know something like that?" I had only a faint hope, but as always, any expectations from this man were thoroughly dashed. To silence the man who started to lose it, I calmly stated, "You're infertile." My words seemed to freeze time for a moment. Then, the man in front of me started to laugh as if he was holding his stomach. What are you talking about? I have a kid, right here. If I was infertile, this child wouldn't exist, would he? My ex-husband couldn't stop his derisive laughter, as if to say, "Are you out of your mind? Then, maybe you should take a look at your wife's face, for starters." What? Look, check out your wife's face. As everyone's gaze shifted, a flashy woman with a pale face stood there. Her beautifully manicured fingers trembled slightly. She was desperately trying to hide her face so her ex-husband couldn't see her expression. Despite the obvious oddity of the situation, the ex-husband seemed clueless. "Are you okay? You look pale." Yay. The barely audible response somehow ended up being directed at me. "Hey, it's because you said something weird that she's freaking out and trembling. You be shaking too, if a long-hidden secret was about to be revealed." Saying this, I looked at the woman again, whose face had turned pale and looked as if she was about to cry. "You don't mess with me. Stop talking nonsense. She's so red and sweating, isn't she ridiculous?" Without any hesitation, I dropped a biggest bomb on the ex-husband who kept defending his woman without knowing anything. I was the one who was confused. When we went for the tests, I had no issues, but my husband was infertile. Huh? Seriously, it's unbelievable. Being looked down upon by that infertile man, forced into it, and then berated for being infertile. My human rights were truly non-existent, weren't they? Hey, wait. Huh? Test results. It seems his memory conveniently omits anything inconvenient. Their all-or-nothing personality fits perfectly. When you were consulting about infertility, you had a test once, right? Did I? Really convenient, huh? Why the hell do I have to do this here? Who was it that complained in the hospital? His ex-husband utters in a faint voice, as if dragging up a distant memory. Forgetting such an experience, he's truly messed up in every sense. At a drinking party with co-workers, I heard from Jack that you were boasting about never getting anyone pregnant even without using contraception. Hot Jack, you. Was I not supposed to say that? He was boasting about it like it was some great feat. So I thought it was fine to tell anyone, you know, LOL. Jack, with his cool and composed face, opposite to the ex-husband who's visibly fuming in anger. It's interesting how mental composure shows up in places like this, I thought to myself vaguely. That's why, if that's true, it wouldn't be weird at all that I couldn't get pregnant. Which is why I took you with me for infertility consulting. No way. Exactly, I wanted to make it clear that maybe the cause of infertility was on his side. What? Then it was bingo. Turns out you were shooting blanks. If you doubt me, I can show you the test results, I said, and my ex-husband bit his lip. The woman next to him looked like she was about to collapse. So, when he brought this person, I knew right away, oh, he's been duped. That child in her belly isn't his, I said. My astonished ex-husband trembled and screamed with a voice that cracked. What? Why didn't you say that before? Huh? It's none of my business. You guys got all excited on your own, right? Nah. After all, it was you guys who ruined my married life. Leaving me because suddenly there was a child, that was on you. Leaving without letting me say anything, that was on you, right? That is. The thing with the girl from work is the worst. Trying to sort things out behind his wife's back, and after he landed a job at a Fortune 500 company through connections. GRR. Hey, wait a minute. Red-faced and shaking with fists clenched as if steam were about to burst from his head. My ex-husband grabbed not me, but the collar of the woman next to him before I could finish speaking. Stop. Her weak voice tried to resist, but his forceful hand did not stop. Driven by emotion, he shook her collar and cussed. Whose child did you try to pin on me, you easy woman? His tightening grip slowly suffocated her breaths. But I really didn't know who the father was, and at that time, you, Mark, were the closest to me. What, just because I happened to be there at the time? That's not it. Her hands met his as she tried to ease the grip. As she gasped for air, he pressed on with his questioning. What do you mean that's not it? You knew it wasn't my child, right? The girls around were saying that even without contraception, nothing happens with Mark, so I thought maybe you were infertile. What? So, I was just a gamble to you, a shot in the dark. Seriously, that's messed up. So you knew, and still decided to dump your lives on me. I'm so sorry. The farce unfolding before me, belated as it is, only cools my emotions further. Honestly, despite the dangerous situation, I have no intention of taking sides. One is my ex-husband, and the other, his mistress who took him away. I couldn't muster the emotion to stop what was happening. Glancing through to the back seat, where I could faintly see our 3 children looking at a book together, occasionally hearing their laughter. I hoped they wouldn't turn this way as I waited with a distant look for the ugly fight in front of me to quiet down. It's been a month since school started, and today, like every day, I dropped my son off at the school gate. Mom, I'm off. Okay, have a great day. He quickly finds a friend, greets them, and together they walk through the school gate. I watch his small back disappear into the building, then headed to the meeting place with Jack. Did you drop him off okay? Of course, he even seemed to have made some new friends and went into school looking happy. That's good to hear. Today, we both took a day off. I dropped off our son, while Jack dropped off his daughter, and we plan to meet for breakfast at our favorite cafe. As we start on the delicious breakfast set in front of us, we enjoy some rare weekday couples time. By the way, what happened to that kid? The kid my husband was referring to was my ex-husband's child. It seems like they transferred schools. They were in a different class. And I only heard it from other moms. But after the entrance ceremony, they never showed up at school again, and suddenly their seat was gone. That's tough. Despite having such terrible parents, that child did nothing wrong. Yeah, you're right. At that time, in the car, watching our 3 kids playing and smiling together, blissfully unaware of the outside situation, weighed heavily on my heart, even as one of the parties involved. But there was nothing I could do for them. It was a delicate issue, and even back then, I couldn't intervene in my ex-husband's matters. Rather, if I hadn't let go of my husband at that time, that child's life might not have been saved. Instead of continuing a broken marriage, I chose to protect a small life. Back then, I simply thought it was enough if that small life was protected. But now, I sometimes wonder if that child is truly happy. It suddenly makes my heart ache. Seeing my downcast mood, my husband let out a small laugh. Thinking about something worrisome again, aren't you? Yay. It's okay. Nah. I saw them out together in town recently, all 3 walking side by side. Really? Yeah, he looked pretty relieved. Jack, reminiscing about the trio with a distant gaze, is smiling softly. If that's the case, then they must be all right. I see. So, there was a reason we met that day. Yay, it must have been fate. Well, honestly, it wore me out, Jack jokes lightly, and I can't help but feel grateful. No amount of gratitude would be enough for someone who needs to stay by my side for life. I hope those 2 can find the same. And I want that child to be protected. While thinking such farts, I looked up to see a faint rainbow stretching across the sky.